They called my wedding a poverty celebration. But when 2 million people saw what really happened that day, my mother and sister came begging, not for forgiveness, but for me to erase the proof of who they really are. I'm Claire, and this is about the day I chose love over approval, and why that choice destroyed the family I thought I knew. If you've ever been the embarrassment in your family, hit subscribe. This story gets intense, but I promise, by the end, you'll see why sometimes walking away is the bravest thing you can do. I've always been the fixer in my family, the responsible one, the one who shows up when no one else will. I'm a registered nurse at County General, and for the past 4 years, I've been doing double shifts to cover not just my own bills, but 60% of my grandmother's nursing home costs. Pleasant Valley isn't cheap, but Grandma Rose deserved better than the state facility my mother suggested. Rose Bennett practically raised me. When I was 7 and my parents were going through their ugly divorce, I spent every weekend at her house. She taught me to bake, listened to my problems, and told me I was smart enough to be anything I wanted. When my mother remarried and decided her new husband's opinions mattered more than mine, Grandma Rose was the one who showed up to my high school graduation. My mother was too busy that day. 4 years ago, Grandma started showing signs of Alzheimer's. It progressed fast, the cruel kind that steals memories like a thief in the night. By the time we moved her into Pleasant Valley, she had more bad days than good ones, but every Sunday, I'd drive the 45 minutes to sit with her. Sometimes she knew who I was. Sometimes she called me by my mother's name. It didn't matter. I showed up. My mother, Linda, visited maybe 4 times a year. Christmas, Easter, Mother's Day, and Thanksgiving, the obligatory appearances she could photograph and post online to prove she was a devoted daughter. My sister Vanessa came even less. She's 28, 4 years younger than me, and she's built a whole life around being aesthetically perfect. Vanessa has 180,000 Instagram followers. Her feed is all white countertops, boutique coffee shops, and carefully staged candid moments with her fiancé, Marcus. Marcus comes from old money, the kind of family that summers in the Hamptons and winters in Aspen. When he proposed last year, it was on a private beach with a photographer hidden in the dunes. The ring cost $45,000. I know because Vanessa told me, multiple times. My engagement was different. David proposed over video call because I was pulling a night shift and he couldn't wait to ask. He's a high school history teacher, the kind who genuinely loves his job even though it'll never make him rich. The ring was simple, a small diamond on a silver band, purchased with 3 months of careful saving. When I showed my mother, she smiled that tight smile of hers and said, "At least you're settling down, even if it's modest." That word, modest. It's the word my mother uses when she means not good enough, but I'm too polite to say it. So when David and I started planning our wedding, I knew it wouldn't meet my family's standards. We weren't having a destination wedding or a downtown venue with 1,000 guests. We wanted something small, meaningful, and I wanted Grandma Rose there. The problem was, Grandma couldn't travel. Her doctors were clear. Moving her beyond the nursing home for more than an hour or 2 could be dangerous. She was in late-stage Alzheimer's, and her lucid moments were becoming rare, precious gifts. I'd visited her the week before David proposed, and she'd looked at me with clear eyes and said, "You're going to make someone very happy one day, sweetheart." It was the first time in months she'd recognized me. I made my decision that night. We'd hold the wedding at Pleasant Valley. The nursing home has this beautiful courtyard garden. Nothing fancy, just well-maintained grass, some flower beds, and a few shade trees. The activities director, Monica, told me they'd hosted small gatherings there before. Birthday parties, anniversary celebrations. She was thrilled to help us plan it. When I told my mother and sister at dinner 3 weeks before the wedding, you'd think I'd announced I was getting married in a dumpster. We were at Linda's house, the one she bought after her 3rd divorce, paid for partly by the alimony she swears she deserved. Vanessa was there too, showing off paint swatches for her future wedding. Marcus's family was paying for everything, and apparently they'd suggested a spring garden theme. How original. "So we've finalized the venue," I said, trying to sound casual. "We're having the ceremony at Pleasant Valley. That way Grandma can attend." The silence was deafening. Linda put down her wine glass slowly, like she needed a moment to process what I'd just said. "You're having your wedding? At a nursing home?" "Yes. The courtyard is actually really pretty in May, and Claire, my mother's voice had that edge it gets when she's about to tell me I'm being unreasonable. A nursing home? That's too miserable to even tell people. What will our friends think? Vanessa started laughing. Not a polite chuckle, but a full-on laugh like I'd told the funniest joke she'd ever heard. Oh my God, seriously? Post that online and people will literally call it a poverty wedding. Marcus's family would die. I felt my face flush. Grandma might not make it to next spring. This is my only chance for her to see me get married. Linda sighed that long-suffering sigh she's perfected over the years. You're always so dramatic about her, Claire. She won't even remember it anyway. Why put everyone through that depressing experience just for someone who won't know the difference? Something cracked in my chest right then. Not broke, just cracked. Like a warning sign. She's your mother, I said quietly. And she's been gone for 2 years already, sweetie. What you're visiting is just what's left. Don't make your wedding about a sick old woman. Make it about you and David. Vanessa reached over and patted my hand like I was a child who'd suggested something cute but impractical. Look, I get that you feel guilty because you're the only one who visits her. But honey, you can't expect your guests to spend their Saturday in a nursing home. It's just too depressing. Can't you do something normal? Even a backyard barbecue would be better than that. I pulled my hand away. I've already booked it, and I'm not changing my mind. Linda shook her head. Well, don't expect me to explain this to people. I'm not going to lie to our relatives when they ask where the wedding is. Then tell them the truth, I said. Tell them I wanted my grandmother there. I'll tell them you insisted on making everyone uncomfortable for no good reason, Linda said. But fine, it's your wedding. Ruin it however you want. Over the next 2 weeks, I watched my guest list shrink. Cousins who'd initially RSVP'd yes suddenly had conflicts. My mother's friends sent regrets. Even Linda said she'd try to make it, but couldn't promise anything since she had a potential house showing that day. She's been retired for 3 years. Vanessa posted Instagram stories about destination wedding trends and venues with spectacular sunset views. No mention of my wedding, but the timing felt pointed. Her followers left comments like, goals, and can't wait for yours. Meanwhile, I was picking out folding chairs with Monica and hoping we'd have enough people to fill them. David's family RSVP'd yes immediately, all 15 of them. His mother even called to ask if she could help decorate. My nursing colleagues said they'd be there. A few of Grandma's old friends who were still mobile said they'd come. But my side of the aisle was looking sparse. One night, I almost canceled everything. I was sitting in my car outside Pleasant Valley after a visit, crying so hard I couldn't see straight. David called right then, like he always does when I need him most. I can't do this, I told him. Maybe they're right. Maybe it's selfish to make everyone come to a nursing home. Maybe we should just go to the courthouse. Claire, David said, his voice gentle but firm. Your grandmother raised you when your mother checked out. She loved you when you needed it most. Having her at your wedding isn't selfish. It's right. And anyone who can't see that doesn't deserve to be there. But what if nobody comes? What if it's just us and a bunch of empty chairs? Then it's just us and empty chairs. But you'll know you did the right thing. And 20 years from now, you'll be able to tell our kids that their great-grandmother was at our wedding. Can you put a price on that? I couldn't, so I dried my tears and kept planning. The week before the wedding, I visited Grandma Rose on a Tuesday afternoon. She was having a bad day. She kept asking for her husband, who'd been dead for 15 years. But then she looked at me, really looked at me, and her eyes cleared. Claire Bear, she said, using the nickname she'd given me when I was 6. You look worried. I'm getting married on Saturday, Grandma, here in the courtyard. I wanted you to be there. She squeezed my hand with surprising strength. Don't you dare let them steal this from you, baby girl. Your mother never understood what matters, but you do. You've always known. Known what? That showing up is everything. That love isn't what you say, it's what you do. Her eyes started to drift again, but she pulled herself back. Promise me you won't let their shame become yours. I promise, Grandma. Good girl. Now go have the most beautiful wedding anyone's ever seen. I'll be there. Even if I don't remember it later, I'll be there now. That's what counts. Saturday dawned warm and clear, one of those perfect May mornings that feels like a gift. David's mother arrived at 8 with 3 cars full of decorations. My friend Jessica from work showed up with her husband and their van loaded with folding chairs we'd borrowed from their church. Monica had rallied the Pleasant Valley staff, and they'd transformed the courtyard into something magical. White string lights were draped between the trees, even though they wouldn't turn on until evening. White roses, donated by a local florist who'd heard what we were doing, filled simple mason jars on borrowed tables. The folding chairs were arranged in neat rows with a center aisle marked by rose petals. It was simple. It was modest, to use my mother's word. It was perfect. The residents who were able to attend started gathering around 11. Mrs. Patterson from room 204 wore her best church dress. Mr. Chen brought his harmonica and asked if he could play something during the reception. The staff had set up a shaded area with extra wheelchairs for residents who wanted to watch but couldn't sit in regular chairs. 43 people came. That was our final count. David's family, my work friends, some of his colleagues from school, and 15 residents from Pleasant Valley. My mother and sister didn't show, neither did most of my extended family. The right side of the aisle, traditionally the bride's side, was noticeably emptier than the left. But I didn't care. Because at noon, Monica wheeled Grandma Rose out to her spot in the front row, and my grandmother was lucid. Completely, beautifully lucid. She was wearing the soft blue cardigan I'd given her for Christmas, and someone had done her hair. When I walked down that makeshift aisle in my simple white dress with my father, who had shown up, bless him, Grandma Rose's whole face lit up. As I passed her chair, she reached out and caught my hand. I stopped, and everything stopped. "You look just like me on my wedding day," she whispered, tears streaming down her face. "I'm so glad I lived to see this." I knelt down in my wedding dress on that nursing home lawn and hugged my grandmother while 43 people watched in silence. When I finally stood up, there wasn't a dry eye in the courtyard. The ceremony lasted 20 minutes. David's cousin, who got ordained online specifically for this, kept it simple and heartfelt. We exchanged vows we'd written ourselves. David promised to always show up no matter what. I promised to never let other people's opinions matter more than what was right. We both cried. So did most of our guests. During the reception, something unexpected happened. The residents who'd gathered to watch started joining in. Mrs. Patterson asked David's uncle to dance with her. Mr. Chen played his harmonica while 3 nurses sang harmony. Grandma Rose held my hand through the entire first dance, and when David's mother brought her a piece of wedding cake, Grandma looked at me and said, "This is the best day I've had in years, Claire Bear. Thank you for letting me be part of your happiness." David's cousin, who's an amateur photographer, was snapping pictures all afternoon. He captured everything: the string lights, the unlikely mix of wedding guests and nursing home residents, the staff members tearing up during our vows, and especially the moment with Grandma Rose and me. He asked if he could post some photos on his social media, and I said yes without thinking much about it. I should have thought about it more. Sunday morning, David and I were still in bed at our apartment, exhausted and happy, and planning to sleep until noon. My phone started buzzing around 7. Then it didn't stop. Texts, notifications, calls, Facebook tags, Instagram mentions, messages from people I hadn't talked to since high school. "What's going on?" David mumbled, half asleep. I checked my phone and my heart stopped. David's cousin Jake had posted a photo album titled "The Most Beautiful Wedding I've Ever Seen and Why It Mattered." The album had 73 photos, and he'd written a caption that told our whole story. About Grandma Rose raising me, about my family mocking the venue choice, about how we'd chosen love over appearances. The post had been shared 4,000 times overnight, and it was still accelerating. By 9 a.m., it had 15,000 shares. By 10, 30,000. People were commenting by the hundreds, wedding planners saying they were crying, nurses sharing their own stories about patient families, adult children talking about their own grandparents in care facilities. By noon, it had been picked up by several viral wedding content accounts. Someone made a TikTok reading the story over the photos. A wedding blog wrote an article. By 3 p.m. Sunday afternoon, Jake's post had been viewed 2.1 million times. And then someone recognized my mother and sister. It wasn't hard. Jake's photos showed the empty right side seats. Someone in the comments section said, "Wait, where's her family?" Another person responded, "According to the story, they called it a poverty wedding and didn't come." Someone else found an old photo Jake had posted a year ago at a family barbecue where Linda and Vanessa were tagged. Within an hour, people had found Vanessa's Instagram. The comments flooded in. "You're the sister who was too embarrassed to attend? Imagine thinking your influencer aesthetic matters more than family. Your sister had more love at her nursing home wedding than you'll ever have with all your followers." I was still processing all of this when our doorbell started ringing at 7:15 Monday morning. Not a polite ring, an urgent, repeated, hammering ring like someone was leaning on the button. David got to the door first. "Who is it?" "It's Linda. Open the door, Claire. Right now." I pulled on my robe and opened the door. My mother and sister practically fell into our apartment. Linda's hair wasn't styled, which never happens. Vanessa's eyes were red and swollen like she'd been crying for hours. "You need to take that post down right now," Linda said before I could even say good morning. "Do you know what people are saying about us?" Vanessa was pacing like a caged animal. "My engagement announcement got completely destroyed, Claire. Marcus's mother called me on the phone to say she's concerned about my character. His grandmother said maybe we should postpone the wedding until this blows over. Fix this. You have to fix this." I stood there in my pajamas, looking at these two women who were technically my family, and I felt absolutely nothing. No guilt, no desire to apologize, just a strange, calm clarity. "I didn't post it," I said quietly, "and I'm not asking anyone to take it down." "Claire, this isn't a joke," Linda said, her voice rising. "People are calling me a terrible mother. My friends are texting me asking why I wasn't at my own daughter's wedding. Your Aunt Sarah called me yesterday and said she's ashamed to be related to me. You have to do something." "I did do something," I said. "I got married. I invited you. You chose not to come." "Because you made it impossible," Vanessa shouted. "You deliberately chose the most embarrassing venue possible, and now you're letting the entire internet judge us for not wanting to spend our Saturday in a nursing home." David stepped forward. "You need to lower your voice, and you need to leave." "This is between family," Linda snapped. "Claire is my family," David said firmly. "You're the people who called our wedding a poverty celebration. There's a difference." Vanessa turned on me, tears streaming down her face. "You're actually going to let this happen? You're going to let them destroy my life because you wanted to prove some point about Grandma?" "I wasn't proving a point," I said, and I was surprised by how steady my voice was. "I was including her in the most important day of my life. You weren't there. The internet is just noticing what I've known my whole life." "What's that supposed to mean?" Linda demanded. "That you care more about appearances than people. That you show up when it looks good and disappear when it doesn't. That you've been embarrassed by me my entire life because I wasn't pretty enough, or successful enough, or impressive enough. Well, now everyone else can see it too." "After everything I've done for you?" Linda's face was red now. "I raised you, I fed you, Grandma Rose raised me," I interrupted. "You were just there. And that's what the pictures show. That's why people are upset. Not because of anything I did, but because of what you didn't do." Vanessa sank onto our couch, crying into her hands. "Marcus might call off the engagement. You're ruining my life, Claire, my entire life, and you don't even care." "You called my wedding a poverty celebration," I said softly. "Now the world sees what poverty actually looks like, and it's not love. It's not showing up. It's caring more about what strangers think than about the people who need you." Linda grabbed her purse. "Fine. If that's how you feel, then I guess we're done here. Don't come crying to me when you need something, Claire. Family loyalty goes both ways." "Does it?" I asked. "Because I've been loyal my whole life. I've shown up. I've paid Grandma's bills. I've covered for you when you didn't visit. I've pretended not to notice when you compared me to Vanessa and found me lacking. So, yeah, Mom, family loyalty does go both ways. Maybe that's the lesson here." They left. David closed the door behind them and immediately wrapped me in a hug. I didn't cry. I just stood there feeling like I'd finally said everything I'd been holding in for 32 years. "Are you okay?" he asked. "I think so. Is that weird? I think I'm actually okay." The viral post kept growing. By Tuesday, it had been viewed over 2.8 million times. News outlets were reaching out to Jake for permission to use the photos. A wedding blog wrote an article titled, "Why This Nursing Home? Wedding is Everything Wrong with Modern Wedding Culture, in the Best Way." Linda's social circle noticed. "I know because my Aunt Sarah called me Tuesday night." "Your mother is having a meltdown," Sarah said. "Her book club asked her to take a few weeks off. Someone at church made a comment about priorities. She's trying to save face, but Claire, honey, people are talking." "What about Vanessa?" "Oh, that's worse. She's lost over 30,000 followers in 3 days. Brands are pausing their partnerships with her until the PR settles. And Marcus—" Sarah paused. "Marcus asked her if she wanted to postpone the engagement. Just temporarily," he said, "until things calm down. But Vanessa thinks he's looking for an out." I should have felt vindicated. Instead, I just felt tired. "I didn't want this," I told Sarah. "I just wanted Grandma at my wedding." "I know, sweetheart. And for what it's worth, I think you did the right thing. I should have said something years ago about how Linda and Vanessa treated you. I'm sorry I didn't." Over the next week, my mother tried different approaches. She showed up at the hospital where I work with flowers and an apology that felt rehearsed. "I was wrong," she said, surrounded by my coworkers at the nurses' station. "I was stressed about everything and I took it out on you. Can we please just move past this?" "You weren't stressed," I said quietly. "You were ashamed of me. There's a difference. And I don't think we can move past that until you understand why that's the problem." "Claire, I'm apologizing. What more do you want?" "I want you to mean it. I want you to understand that you hurt me, not because of some momentary stress, but because you've always been embarrassed by who I am. Until you get that, your apology doesn't mean anything." She left without the reconciliation she wanted. Vanessa's approach was different. She sent long texts, each one more desperate than the last. "I know I hurt you, but I'm paying the price. Marcus might leave. My career is falling apart. Please help me. Tell people it was a misunderstanding. Tell them you forgive me. Please, Claire. I'm begging you." I responded once. "You taught me that image matters more than people. Now you're learning the same lesson. I'm sorry you're hurting, but I can't fix this for you. You have to do that yourself." 3 weeks after my wedding, I got a call from Pleasant Valley. Grandma Rose had passed away peacefully in her sleep. She'd had a good day, Monica told me. She'd eaten all her lunch, participated in music therapy, and told Monica about her granddaughter's beautiful wedding. Then, she'd taken her usual afternoon nap and simply didn't wake up. I'd known it was coming. I'd had years to prepare, but I still cried for hours when I got the news. Not because I'd lost her. I'd lost her gradually over 4 years of Alzheimer's, but because I was so grateful she'd been at my wedding, that she'd had that one perfect lucid day where she knew exactly who I was and what was happening. The funeral was small. I organized everything because Linda was too overwhelmed. Vanessa came, though she sat in the back and left before the reception. Marcus wasn't with her. At the service, Linda tried to give a eulogy about her close relationship with her mother. I watched from the front row as she talked about childhood memories and Sunday dinners and always being there for Rose. It was a beautiful speech. It was also almost entirely fictional. When she finished, I stood up. I hadn't planned to speak, but something inside me snapped. "Excuse me," I said politely. "I'd like to add something." Linda looked startled but sat down. I walked to the front and looked at the 60 or so people gathered. My father and his new wife, some of Grandma's old friends from before the Alzheimer's, staff from Pleasant Valley, my friends from work, David's family. "Grandma Rose taught me a lot of things," I said, "but the most important lesson was that love isn't about what you say. It's about showing up. She showed up for me my entire life. When my parents divorced, when I graduated high school and college, when I got my nursing license, when I needed someone to believe I was worth believing in. She showed up. I looked directly at my mother. She visited her at Pleasant Valley once a week for 4 years. My mother visited 4 times a year, so please don't confuse a nice eulogy with actual love. Grandma knew the difference, and she taught me to know it too. The silence in that funeral home was deafening. David's mother started clapping first, then others joined in. Not loud, not dramatic, just a quiet acknowledgement of a truth that needed to be said. After the service, Linda cornered me in the parking lot. "How dare you humiliate me at my own mother's funeral? We're family, Claire. You owe me forgiveness, not public condemnation." "I don't owe you anything," I said, and I meant it. "And I'm done pretending we're close when we've never been. You can't rewrite history because the internet is watching now. Grandma knew who showed up for her. I know who showed up for me. That's what matters." "So that's it? You're just going to throw away your entire family over one mistake?" "It wasn't one mistake, Mom. It was 32 years of mistakes, of comparisons and criticisms, and making me feel like I had to earn love by being someone I'm not. I'm done trying to earn something that should have been freely given." She had no response to that. She just got in her car and drove away. 6 weeks after the funeral, I asked my mother and sister to meet me at a neutral location, a quiet coffee shop neither of us frequented. They came, though Vanessa looked like she'd rather be anywhere else. "I'm not cutting you off completely," I told them once we were seated. "But I'm done being your emotional support and reputation shield. If you want a relationship with me, there are going to be boundaries." "Boundaries," Linda repeated flatly. "No unexpected visits, no guilt trips about family loyalty, no posting about me on social media without permission, no comments about my life choices, my marriage, or how I compare to Vanessa. If you can't respect those rules, then we don't have a relationship. It's that simple." Vanessa spoke for the first time. "Are you seriously going to hold one mistake over our heads forever?" "It's not about the wedding," I said tiredly. "It's about everything the wedding revealed. You two have spent years making me feel like I wasn't enough, pretty enough, successful enough, impressive enough. I'm done feeling that way. And if you can't interact with me without making me feel that way, then we can't interact." Linda stood up. "This is ridiculous. You're being overdramatic and self-righteous, and frankly, you're punishing us for trying to help you have some self-awareness. But fine, have it your way. When you're ready to grow up and act like part of this family, you know where to find us." She left. Vanessa stayed. "Marcus postponed the engagement indefinitely," she said quietly. "He says he needs time to think about whether we want the same things. His family thinks I'm shallow. My influencer career is basically over. And you know what the worst part is?" "What?" "I can't even say you're wrong. I watched the video of your wedding that someone posted. I saw Grandma's face when you walked by her. I saw how happy everyone was. And I realized I've never had anything that real in my entire life. Everything I have is for show, including Marcus probably." She started crying, not the angry crying from before, but genuine, broken crying. "I'm sorry, Claire. I'm sorry I mocked you. I'm sorry I wasn't there. I'm sorry I cared more about what things looked like than about what mattered. You tried to tell me that my whole life, and I never listened." I reached across the table and took her hand. "I forgive you. But Vanessa, you have to understand. Forgiveness doesn't mean everything goes back to how it was. Trust takes time to rebuild, and you have to actually change, not just apologize." "I know. I'm trying. I got a real job, marketing coordinator at a small firm. It's not glamorous, but it's honest work. And I'm in therapy, trying to figure out why I need external validation so badly." She wiped her eyes. "Can we start over? Not as close as we were, but maybe just as people who want to know each other?" "Yeah," I said. "We can try that." 6 months after my nursing home wedding, my life looked completely different. David and I settled into our little apartment. I got promoted to charge nurse, which came with better hours and more pay. I started a support group at work for other nurses dealing with elderly parents or relatives with dementia. Turns out, I wasn't the only one struggling with the sandwich generation squeeze. Vanessa and I texted occasionally. She sent me pictures of her new apartment, smaller than her old place, no white marble counters, but hers. She and Marcus tried again briefly, but eventually called it off for good. She seemed okay with it. He wasn't the right person, she told me over coffee one day. I was just so desperate to prove I was worth something that I held onto him too tight. My mother and I maintained a careful distance. She never apologized in any meaningful way, but her behavior shifted slightly. She asked about my life sometimes, though the conversations were stilted and uncomfortable. I didn't expect warmth from her anymore. I'd made peace with the fact that some parents can't be who you need them to be. The viral post eventually faded from the internet's collective memory, replaced by the next heartwarming story and the next scandal. But every so often, someone would tag me in a comment or send me a message. Your story helped me set boundaries with my family. I decided to have my wedding my way because of you. Thank you for showing what real love looks like. Those messages meant more than I could express. One evening in November, David and I were cooking dinner when he asked, "Do you regret it? Any of it?" "No," I said immediately. "I got to have Grandma at my wedding. That one moment when she held my hand and told me she was glad she lived to see me married. I'd go through all of it again for that." "Even losing most of your family?" I thought about that. I didn't lose them. I just finally saw them clearly, and honestly, that was the gift. Grandma taught me that love is about showing up. The wedding just proved who'd been paying attention to that lesson and who hadn't. You're pretty wise for someone who supposedly had a poverty wedding, David teased. I laughed. The poorest thing about that wedding was how empty it would have been if I'd waited for people who didn't deserve to be there. Instead, I got 43 people who actually cared. That's not poverty. That's abundance. And I meant it. That viral post didn't ruin my family. It revealed what was already broken. And sometimes the most loving thing you can do is stop pretending everything is fine. Stop accepting crumbs of affection from people who should be offering you the whole loaf. Stop making yourself smaller so others feel bigger. My grandmother got to see me married. My mother got to see who I really am. And I got to see that choosing yourself isn't selfish. It's survival. 3 weeks ago, I got an email from Jake, David's cousin who posted the original photos. Someone wanted to option my story for a short film. They wanted to know if I'd be interested in consulting. I laughed and deleted it. Some stories don't need to be bigger than they already are, but I did save all the photos from that day. Every single one. When I'm having a hard day, I pull them up and look at Grandma Rose's face. That clear, joyful, present expression that I'd missed for so long. And I remember that I made the right choice. Not the easy choice, not the choice my family wanted, but the right one. And in the end, that's all any of us can do. Show up for the people who matter. Set boundaries with the people who don't. And build a life that feels true, even if it doesn't look impressive on Instagram. If this story resonated with you, drop a comment about your own experience with family expectations. You're not alone. And subscribe, because next week I'm sharing the messages I got from other Black sheep who found their peace. Sometimes the family you choose matters more than the family you're born into. And that's okay. That's more than okay. That's freedom.